What's up, guys? Welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. We are joined by Harry, of course, to sum up what has been an absolutely dross season. And we're also joined by Ciaran, that Harry didn't know about until about 30 seconds ago. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on again.
No worries. Actually, do you know what? Because I forgot Ciaran said his family was going on holiday and he had the time free to do it. And we mentioned that at the beginning of the week. But honestly, I've just been so busy with everything, and my mate's birthday out in London last night and whatever, it was just a bit chaotic. Completely forgot to mention it. And then when Harry messaged me a couple of minutes ago going, oh yeah, 5 o'clock will be fine, I was like, shit, I need to call Ciaran. So I literally called him. He was like, yeah, Saturday, I'll be there in 2 minutes. So we're here, we're every fucking where. Right, let's talk about West Ham first. Full time, Tottenham 1, West Ham 1. And I'm going to read a tweet, right, that I tweeted earlier, which I think sums it up perfectly. I tweeted this at 1:10 and I said, I don't want to lose to West Ham the same way I wouldn't want to lose to Arsenal or Chelsea. That being said, this game means absolutely fuck all for both teams and just highlights and exposes how dog shit we've both been. Not anything to be proud of for either team as it stands. And I think that pretty much sums up the attitude of the players, the attitude of the managers, the attitude of the fans. Pretty much, I think that sums that up perfectly. No one gives a shit. The players didn't give a shit about the result. Fans didn't really give a shit about the result. Neither team wanted to lose. Neither manager gave a shit about the result. Maybe Potter a little bit more so than Postecoglou, but at full time he seemed happy with the point. Overall, just absolutely what I titled last week's episode, Battle of the Shittest, and it pretty much sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean,
the only positive was my stream was good. That's the only positive.
Say that again, Harry?
My stream didn't cut out at all.
No, fuck yeah. So you got to watch the shit uninterrupted, which is which is a shame. I thought, do you know what? Even players like Tell and whatever, they just looked like they were afraid of running too hard or getting injured or whatever.
They didn't play on Thursday. This is what I don't understand.
But I feel like for those players, they want a chance to be able to come off the bench and do something if they need it. You know, I thought Mikey Moore was all right, to be fair, but again,
was shocking, man.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that. When we do the whole season summary and talk about keep and sell, we'll discuss that.
I've had literally all season, Ciaran, my dad's been moaning about Vicario to me every game. So.
Yeah, but I think overall for the 90 minutes, both teams got what they deserved. A point was evens. Both teams were shit.
We're both 16, 17. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing that I take away from West Ham this season is they seriously would have been relegated if it wasn't for Jared Bowen. He's the top. We've said this before. Me and Harry have said this before on the podcast. People that follow my channel and follow my content know for a long time. One of my favourite players outside of Spurs. I hate the fact he went to West Ham because he's brilliant and he's just so underrated. He's cool. He's calm. Like I say, he scored a winning goal for them in the cup final, which right now Sonny can only dream of. He's a leader among weak-minded players, and West Ham have to do whatever it takes to keep hold of him in the summer because obviously now Liverpool's not getting rid of Salah. It's not necessarily an option for them, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's clubs like Chelsea, there's other European clubs sniffing around him because he's a great player. He's become a lot better with his right foot than he used to be. He's a well-rounded player. He scores goals. He leads by example, drives teams forward, and, there's a lot to like about Jared Bowen. About the only thing about West Ham that I do like. But yeah, I think without him, they would have been in deep shit this season.
I think you could say the exact same thing about us, though. I mean, if we lost today, that would have been our 20th loss in the league.
But I don't think we've been as reliant on a specific individual as West Ham have been on Bowen. That's my counterpoint. Yeah. But you are right, and I do. Don't get me wrong. I do think there's been improvement under Potter. West Ham fans can say, "Oh, it's not improving," but I think once he has a summer, West Ham need to be one of those clubs that are like Bristol Rovers tweeted earlier today, saying that the 9 players are either leaving or having contracts terminated at the end of the season. West Ham need that level of clear out. They need
Well, they are the oldest team in the Premier League.
Yeah. Players like Soufal, I think, are going to go. I think that he'll end up going to Fulham. There's a lot of links there, or maybe Everton with Moyes. And I think he'd really suit Moyes' ball at Everton. James Ward-Prowse hasn't really settled at there. I could see him going to a mid-table club, maybe a Brighton. He'd play quite well there. Brentford, bringing the experience. I think West Ham, they need a massive, massive clear out in the summer. They need to invest. They need to get clarification on the Paqueta situation and find out whether he's going to have his ability to play in England terminated or whether he is going to be able to play. And if he isn't going to be able to play, then he's get that transfer done, get enough money in to replace him. They need to fix their striker situation because as good of a player as Fulker is for a certain style of play, he doesn't fit what Potter needs and doesn't fit what Potter wants. And West Ham need to be bold. They need to be brave in the transfer market. And I think they will be fine. I don't think they'll go back to having a season like this again. I think if they're bold and they're brave, then they'll be all right. But yeah, I think even Stevens, to be fair, I think we both got what we deserved. And the only thing
really, the 3 teams that came up.
Yeah, I think both of us.
The only point.
For the first time in a long time, Spurs and West Ham are in a very identical situation. The only opportunity we have to save our season is on Thursday, which by the time this comes out, because we're recording this Sunday afternoon, so by the time this comes out, you guys will know already what's happened. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add to that? I don't think there's a lot to add really for Spurs and West Ham.
I don't really think so. I think there were a few bright spots in the game. I thought Archie played all right. I thought Odegaard played all right. But apart from that, as we said, there was nothing really to separate both teams. We both just didn't look like we were going to do anything.
I thought Saar looked all right, but I don't.
Yeah, I thought Saar looked all right. I think players like Saar, players like Odegaard, there's a lot more. Saar's kind of stagnated a little bit, but I think that's because of the inconsistencies with the overall team. I think when Basuma goes next year, that'll give an option for a lot more rotation for Saar. And I think we'll start the team come back to his best because Saar is so young anyway. And he's not, touch wood, he's not been a player with injury problems. It's not like Saar's not played because of fitness. Saar just hasn't played because the manager prefers someone else. I think that will change in the summer because he can offer so much. And the same with Odegaard. I think there's a lot more to come from him. I like his pace. I like his energy. Needs to be a little bit more productive in the final third, and I think that will come with a different manager, if I'm being honest.
I'm not happy, really, to be honest, with his treatment of Saar, because I don't really understand why. He was probably one of the best players along with Kulusevski earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Then Bergwall made his breakthrough, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is because I don't call it breakthrough because because of injuries that he's got games.
His form's been built up because he's played, and he's been played because of injuries, not necessarily because he came in and dropped an outstanding performance. His performances have progressed at an upwards trajectory, but it's not like it was one performance and then it jumped. It was just naturally he's been given an opportunity and he's made the most of it. Credit to Bergwall for that, but also it's not like he put in a world-beating performance off the bench and then that forced him in. He was forced in because of injuries.
But what I'm trying to say is I don't think there's much between, I know you probably disagree with me, between Bergwall and Saar. I just think the difference.
I don't think there's a lot. I think there's ever so slightly different players.
But I just think maybe it's maybe he just prefers Bergwall because he doesn't really play with a holding midfielder anyway. But as in, for me, Saar can offer something they're both. In my opinion, they're both ball carriers, but the difference is Bergwall is more of like a passer, but Saar's more of like a shoot. I was taking
if you get to as a box, Saar's more likely to shoot than Bergwall is. Bergwall's more likely to look for the pass.
Yeah. So I don't know. But what I'm saying is, I do think it was kind of treated unfairly because Bergwall, he's had some good performances, but there's some games where I'm just like, you easily could have played Saar.
And I think as well, the one thing of credit I will give to Saar is despite, and this is why I think he will end up being a top player for Spurs in years to come, is because a lot of players we see when they're rotated for either preference or for injuries purposes or whatever, a lot of players' heads drop, a lot of players start chatting shit, a lot of players start, if I'm not going to be playing, then I'll look to move. That would trigger sensation. Whereas someone like Saar, every time he does come on, every time he does play, if I said to you this season, name me one absolute woeful Saar performance, you can't. It's 6 or 7s out of 10s most games. Sometimes there's nothing fancy, sometimes there's nothing out of this world, but you don't need that from a central midfielder. If you're an engine, if your job is to win the ball back, drive forward with it, release the ball, have the energy to get up and down, an old school box-to-box midfielder, if that's what your job is, you're never going to be putting in 10 out of 10 performances. Unless you're taking penalties or taking free kicks, you're very rarely, as a box-to-box midfielder, going to be the best player on the pitch.
Saar reminds a lot more of like Ramirez sort of type player.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that.
But I'm not saying he's that level because it's a long way to go.
But with Ramirez, if you think about it, you can remember like one or two absolute worldies he scored. But other than that, you can't really remember any bad performances. They can't remember any
amazing,
outstanding performances because someone else was getting the goals or assists. But he came in, got his job done. He had the energy, he had the pace, he had the athleticism. And that's why I think we will see so much more of Sarr, because he's kept his mentality in the right place despite being rotated, despite being dropped, despite having other players preferred to him. He's not taking that personally. When he's put on the shirt, he's worked his arse off for the badge. You can't ask for more than that. You really can't ask for more than that.
So we need to go out and sign some experience in the summer because,
I would agree with that.
We'll do a whole, once we know what's happening with the Europa League, if we are out on Thursday, then, which you guys will know this by the time you're listening, then the following weeks we'll talk about the Europa League campaign as a whole, and then the following week after that will be a complete squad rip apart, analysation, whatever. If we go out next week, if we go to the final, then it'll be the episode after the finals played, the episode after the finals played, that we'll then do a squad rip apart, because I don't want to do that until the finals been played. Right, next Sunday we have Crystal Palace at home.
The protest week.
Yeah, we've got another protest as well. Shout out to Jay for that. The last few have been amazing. Palace have a -4 goal difference. They're sat on 11 wins, 12 draws, and 11 losses. Pretty much the Crystal Palace that you expect. Comfortably mid-table. Never really, I would say, at threat of going down. Some absolutely elite performances. Glazner is supposedly happy to sacrifice Eze and Mateta to improve the overall quality of the squad, to have a higher quality and balance in the summer, which is interesting. I think more he's saying that now, so that if Eze goes, it puts more onus on him and not the club, because the club have backed him. They have done well with him, I would say. It's hard to know what to expect from Palace, because I feel like they've either been brilliant or been shit. There's no real in between. Like Palace,
they might rest players because of the FA Cup game.
Yeah, because the FA Cup
they could do. Yeah. What I will say, right, and I'm going to say this despite them being a London club, but I personally think if Glazner could get them into Europe, if they could win the FA Cup and Glazner could get them into Europe, Palace are really going to be a good level team. I'm not saying they're going to qualify for Europe, but they're going to be a good, consistent performer next year. He did win
the Europa League with Frankfurt himself.
Yeah, I do think there's a real opportunity for them to win the FA Cup. But even just getting them to an FA Cup final in, a year and a half is real progress.
Does it mean they don't qualify? They do qualify. Does it depend on...
They'll qualify for the Conference League depending on what happens with Chelsea and what happens with us and United.
That's what I'm saying. Does it depend on... Okay,
yeah, but they'll get some from Europe. And realistically, if you put Crystal Palace in the Conference League, if they sign enough players, you could back them to win that. Then all of a sudden, that's Europa League and a European trophy for a club like Crystal Palace and an FA Cup, which got them into that position. That's an outstanding 3.5 years at that point, So I think Palace really have the right foundations. They need to be smart in the summer. I don't think they need to spend big, but they need to spend smart.
I think,
they need to look at teams like West Ham. They need to look at teams like Leicester, like Southampton, that have any Premier League quality players they have. Like, for me personally, I think Thomas Tuchel could be great at Crystal Palace. I don't know whether he will stay or not, but if Potter is staying, which after his suicidal comments about Tottenham, it's just stupid. There's an opportunity there. I can see an opportunity there. But I think Palace really have the right springboard with the way they play. They can defend deep when they're playing against teams that are aggressive. They can be aggressive when they defend against... And I think that's been the difference for Palace this year between them and the likes of Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich is you can see Ipswich drop back against certain teams when they feel inferior. Palace this season are willing to adapt the way they play depending on who they're playing against. The system is still the same, but the type of passing is different, the type of press is different, and their defensive line is different. And I think that's why we're seeing Palace be effective, is in games where they see opportunities to expose teams that are typically better than them, they will just move up and go for it. Whereas Palace in the past, no disrespect to Roy Hodgson, he's a Crystal Palace legend. The reason they are where they are is because of him and because of Wilfried Zaha and the stability that they brought over such a long period of time. But one of the things that has changed about Crystal Palace this season is they've not been afraid in certain games just to say, fuck it, right, well, there's an opportunity here, let's go for it. Against Arsenal, they saw that Saliba wasn't press-proof press proven at all, and they pressed and they applied a little bit more pressure, and that mistake led to the goal. And they got a point away at the Emirates, whereas Palace in the past would have settled for a 2-1 loss to Arsenal because you know what, actually that's a good result for Crystal Palace away from home. In the same way, when they played Ipswich, when they played Leicester, when they played Southampton, they've seen an opportunity to suffocate those teams. When they played Brentford, and they even tried it against Newcastle to an extent, and all right, it backfired. But the fact that Palace had the confidence to go for that is the reason why they've not been in and around those relegation fighting teams, is because they picked up an extra 5, 6, 7 points just by choosing to trust themselves and be a bit more optimistic in certain situations where previously they haven't. So for me, if I was a Crystal Palace fan, obviously I'm not, but if I was a Crystal Palace fan, I think there's a lot for them to look forward to going forwards. I personally think they'll beat us. It'll be close. It'll be a 2-1, a 2-1, I'd imagine. But for me, I think there's a lot to be excited about for Crystal Palace. You guys go.
I'm saying that with Eze and Mateta, right? I think Eze would be more of a loss than Mateta, because Mateta, I think, is replaceable. I think he can get a similar level striker quite, not easily, but I think he can find one. With Eze, I don't know how his loss would affect them, because he's basically, in some cases, carried that team. I mean, he scored that goal at Wembley, for example, as well. Yeah. Like he's the heartbeat of that team. So whilst in theory it might work to sell.
But then people said the same thing with Elise, and then Sar's come in, and after a period of time, Sar's been really effective this season. So if Glazer can get the right replacement,
Eze had more of an influence than Elise personally, but because Eze was the one everyone wanted. Really, I know Bayern Munich went for Elise, but like I think because Eze can do a variety of things, I think Elise is good at just like one thing. Really, that's just my opinion. And Mateta, like he's more just on the end of things. So if you bring in someone half decent, even that level, maybe it could, if they sold him, could get someone better. But then he could fill that. Someone could fill that role, I think, a lot easier. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of two things. They qualify for Europe. I think they can do a lot. But if they don't, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think if they win, and get into Europe, I could see him 100% like pushing up for that top 8 every year. I think. So I think like the amount of money you get from even just qualifying for that competition is
crazy,
mental. And how much like say they did sell something like Mateta or Eze or something, and they actually put that money into like other good players, like as you said, like players like Leicester or like West Ham or something like that. Other teams going down, like maybe even like Delap. I assume he's going to go somewhere top 6, but
Palace could push for someone like that.
I think Chelsea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so
I think
someone like that, and if they do win the FA Cup, which is definitely a possibility, I do think obviously last time they played City, like you said, they do push for these sort of games. Like they played really well in the first, 20, 30 minutes against City, and sort of collapsed. So they know they can do that. So obviously after that 20, 30 minutes, they collapsed and obviously conceded a lot. But I think, it's definitely a possibility for them to win the FA Cup. And I think it'll be quite cool for a lot of other fans to see another club win the FA Cup as opposed to, like City, Liverpool and everything else. I think it'll be quite different.
Fair enough. After that, on the following Sunday, we have Aston Villa away at Villa Park. Not going to lie, I think we're going to be absolutely annihilated. I think this is going to be a 4-0, 4-1. I think they're going to absolutely tear us apart. Because I think if we do win, because that's before the cup finals played, isn't it? So if we do go through against Bo Glimt on Thursday, which you guys already know this, then I think the team we'll field against Villa will be absolutely rested. I don't think he'll risk it. I just don't think he'll risk it at all. And if we lose to Villa, if we lose to Bo Glimt, whatever players he puts out, I think it's going to be similar to when we knew the title was over in 2015-16, and we went away to Southampton, went 1-0 up, and then got absolutely slapped after that.
That's Newcastle, I think. Newcastle, right?
Yeah, no, but before that, we went a goal up against Southampton as well and lost like 2 or 3-1.
We drew.
No, I thought we lost. I don't know, but those 2 games after, we just fell off a cliff.
We drew, because one was at White Hart Lane, I remember going. We drew that one, I think 1-1 or 2-2, something like that.
Maybe that was the Southampton game then.
And then we lost 5-1.
5-1 to Newcastle, yeah.
Last day, yeah.
Because Sissoko scored and then we bought him.
But we got a home game last game of the season, so...
Yeah, but yeah, as for Villa, I think either players are going to be flat out rested, ready for the cup final, or they're going to be so out of touch with everything if we lose to Bo Glimt that they're just going to down tools.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of that game now because we
yeah,
can
I
me
saw
too.
I saw something about, I don't know if it was true or not, but I saw something about us potentially moving that fixture, but something
Yeah,
about Villa
Villa rejected
rectifying
it.
that.
Yeah.
Villa
Yeah, but it
rejected.
also depends on, the Premier
Because
League and
Villa
the
are
FA.
rejecting it because they need the points for Champions League. So that if they reject it and we play a
Yeah.
youth team, Villa have more chance of winning. It doesn't benefit them to move it.
No, of course, yeah, of course it doesn't. I can understand why they do it, but again, like,
Yeah.
it's like,
How would they move it? What will they move it to Saturday instead? Or
I would assume so.
Yeah, because the final's on a Wednesday.
is it on a
Yeah,
Wednesday?
It's on a Wednesday, yeah.
Oh, so
So
it's not.
21st, is it?
I booked off the Tuesday, the Wednesday, and the Thursday. That's the point, Harry. I'm going to ask you this on the podcast now. If they do a screening, or even if they don't do a screening, are you going to be watching the final at home if we make it, or are you watching it in pub?
Probably at home.
Oh, okay, never mind. Because I was thinking I might come down because I booked those.
Because if we win, I'm gonna go straight to Tottenham.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, why don't? Well, right, but this is my point though. So I booked off the day before the final, the day of the final, and the day after. Why not just go to the pub and then we can be around Spurs fans if we win? Because that's what my plan is. My stepdad's going to do the same. He's booked off the final day, so we're going to go to London to watch it in the pubs.
He's booked it off.
Yeah, because it's not worth risking it and leaving it too late.
Tempting fate, right?
Well, that's what someone replied to my TikTok a second ago, actually, about the same thing. Because I booked off the day before the final to mentally prepare, the day of the final, and the day after because I'm going to be too drunk to drive to work on the early hours of the thing if we become European champions. So anyway, but yeah, I think that Villa game, I think regardless of what happens with Boglin, whether we win, whether we lose, I think the reasons will be different, but I think we can get bad by Villa in that game.
We'll be really hungover because we lost. Or depressed, and we'll get. Or
we're going to be on cloud 9 and then resting everybody for the final.
Yeah, exactly.
Final home game of the season, 25th of May. We're playing Brighton at home. Brian, are they still in the hunt for European football?
Yes, they are. 100. They beat Newcastle earlier.
They're going to need the
just.
Yeah,
because they're a point behind Bournemouth. So it's going to be one of Fulham, Brentford, or Bournemouth that gets the slot that comes from. So right now, Liverpool, as it stands right now, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Newcastle, Chelsea get Champions League football. Forest will get Europa League football. Villa will get Europa League football if City win the FA Cup. If Palace win it, then they'll get Conference League. And then I believe if one of us or United win, then another team gets Europa League as well. So 8th might get it as well. So they're all in for the hunt for it still. I think we'll lose to Brighton.
Win the whole
thing. I do.
I think we'll lose to Brighton as well. To be honest with you, like I say, I think it'll be 3 losses to the end of the season.
I don't know. I think obviously if it's after, well, it will be after the final. I think, isn't it? It will be. Sure.
Yeah.
I think it depends on I assume if we do win it, I assume the atmosphere is going to be a lot different than if we would lose 4-0 or something like that.
It might be, but I do think that the Premier League, even when we've had great games in Europe and then we've gone and played in the league, the atmosphere hasn't made a difference. The players have been shit.
Yeah, no.
The players have treated the league this season like a pre-season friendly and treated Europe like it's the Premier League.
Yeah, 100%.
The players and the manager put themselves into this position.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that statement at all. I just think it's one of those things. I think when it comes to the league, I can't see us. I think maybe we might pick up 1 point, but for the most part, I think we'll lose all 3 games.
I think we might be Palace just because if they play a second string, we might have a chance.
Yeah.
Or they rest most of the players, they make 7 changes or something. We might have a good chance to win that. Brighton, I think, will lose just because
they'll push it to the end.
They need the points. Villa will definitely going to lose regardless, I think. So,
yeah.
Basically, so you're looking at 1 point, 3 points, or no points, really.
Yeah.
And it pretty much sums up what has been an absolutely woeful season.
It's the worst season I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah.
And my dad is the same. Apart from when we went down, I mean, you can't recall a worse season.
And it's crazy because we're not a million miles away from being that either.
This is why I think I'm with you in terms of bringing someone like Frank or Glasner in, because there is still a worry in me that whoever comes in, say we're probably going to finish 16th, 17th, right? Whatever the position is. Okay, whatever happens, surely we can only go up. But then, what caliber of player? If we don't win the Europa League, what caliber of player we're going to attract with that league
Yeah,
position?
exactly.
So you need someone to come in who's going to be like sort of have some experience, just in case we get into a relegation battle.
The priority has to be stability next summer more than anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll talk about it once we know what's happening, once we know the outcome for the end of the season in terms of the league. But for me personally, I'm pretty much going to be one of those people in the summer. If you don't want to be here, then leave.
Yeah. 100%.
Because the only way we build ourselves next season is if every single one of those 22, 23 bulk group of players wants to be at the club, wants to wear the shirt, wants to do the best for the fans, whatever. Not just chat it, but shows it. So, but we'll discuss that at the end. Playoffs for the Championship, because obviously it's relevant for us next year. Quickly, commiserations to Luton Town, who were relegated on goal difference on Saturday.
Back-to-back relegations.
That is crazy.
Listen. They fucked up their summer last year. They let Barkley go. Fair enough. Cool. No problem. He had a relegation release clause. It was only 8 million. So, it is what it is. But they never bothered to try and sign Lobotka or whatever his name, not Lobotka. Lokonga, that's it. From Arsenal on a permanent deal. He was a massive part of their season last season. They didn't bring in players at all, really, in the summer. They had an absolute piss poor summer. There was no planning for it at all. A lot of people are calling for the board member that made those decisions to step down. I don't believe it was the main chairman. I think it was somebody else. It was just a poor summer for them. I hope they rebuild. It means a lot to this town. It means a lot to these people. And, the new stadium plan and permissions have officially been approved. That work has already started now. That ground is piles of sand piled up there because I have to drive around the roundabout where the new ground's going to be to go to work. So as I drive, go straight over the roundabout, go round the left to the second junction. So the second junction.
Give me the Chris Cowlin of Luton then. Yeah,
apparently so, yeah. And there's bollards there on the other side where the stadium's been built. And when you get off the train, you can see it as well. So
you can take like videos of them building it.
Yeah, it's going to be massive for this town. And I think Luton need to get back to being a playoff challenger before the new stadium's built, so they can come up with it. Because, anyway, go on, Kieran, what's your question?
Do you not think, obviously, don't get me wrong, right? Obviously, Luton Stadium has needed an upgrade for years, right? Obviously, the stadium was...
Understatement, but yeah, go on.
So it has been needed an upgrade for years. But do you not think the new stadium has sort of taken away from the fact that they have needed to sign players but haven't had the money to do so? Do you not think
I don't think it's that. I think so. There was someone went on BBC Radio a couple of months ago and they announced that they could have spent 30 to 40 million in January and their books would have been absolutely fine, even coming down. So if they'd gone and spent that money, they probably would have stayed up. I'm not going to lie to you. If they went and bought, because Adebayo did well in the Premier League last year. He's been shit this season. He did well in the Premier League last year, but he wasn't fit enough. If they went and signed a Premier League experienced striker and they went and signed a Premier League experienced centre-back, maybe someone at the back end, someone like a Connor Cody, maybe he would have joined from a relegation rival, but someone of that type of player, a leader, real leader, whatever, I think Luton would have stayed up. I think part of it was sticking with Rob Edwards for a little bit too long, but I think Rob Edwards was partly his fault, partly let down by the board in the summer. I think it was just a calamity of errors, to be fair.
Who are in the playoffs for the Championship coming up? Bristol.
Well, we'll go over that in a second. The other thing I want to say, so we'll do a quick loan watch before we go on to the Championship, actually. So I want to talk about the... Will Lancashire on his loan, played 11 matches, didn't score at all. I'm not going to lie, a little bit disappointed in that loan. A little bit from him, a lot from West Brom. The fans seem to love him. It wasn't for a lack of work rate that he wasn't scoring. I think he needs a top-tier Championship loan next year. And I'm hoping he'll go to one of the teams that have gone down. I think I'd like to see him...
Ipswich.
It goes Ipswich to replace Delap. I think that would be a really, really good move for him. Great move for all parties. Kieran McKenna, I think, will stay at Ipswich. They don't look like they have any plans to get rid of him. They kind of knew their fate when they came up anyway. They gave it a good go, fair enough. But I think he'd be a good replacement for them on loan. So that'd be good. Min Hyuk played 14 games for Crystal Palace, got 2 goals, 1 assist, became a massive favourite with the Crystal Palace fans. Work rate was brilliant. One of his goals he scored was an absolutely brilliant finish. Got a really good cross for an assist. I think we need a good loan for him next year. I don't necessarily think it needs to be a top championship team. I think the style of play for him is more important than where a team's predicted to finish. I want him to go on to a team that play a progressive style of football next year. I'd like to see, if they don't come up, I'd like to see him go to Coventry. I think Frank Lampard could do a lot with him. What you got to remember as well, a lot of the youth players that Chelsea have sold in the last 3 or 4 years were byproducts of Frank Lampard playing the youth and giving the youth an opportunity when they had a transfer ban. He's only 19. He's got a lot to learn. But his stats looked good in terms of his runs, his dribbles, etc. He's not afraid to take on his player. So I want to see a lot from him next year. But again, I think a progressive play style championship loan would be perfect for him next year. Alfie Dorrington has played 2 games for Aberdeen on loan. Brilliant in those 2 games, but he's played 2 games. I'm not going to lie. I'm not. What is it saying? See, it says no. He's played more than 2 games.
I think he's in the Scottish Cup final with Aberdeen. I'm pretty sure.
2 seconds.
I'm pretty sure I saw something like that. And to go back to
hold on 2 seconds. It's called 2 things. It's called the.
You got the Scottish Premier.
Yeah, in the Scottish Premiership, he started 7 games, got 1 goal, and then in the Premier 2, that's why I had that on. Yeah, so he started 7 games, played 11 in total. Again, I think a championship move for him is probably the best way to go. I think it tells a lot about centre-back's championship move. And I don't see the point in loaning him to the Scottish team. I really don't. Alfie Devine at Westerlo.
1-0 Chelsea. I just checked.
Was that full time?
No, it's second.
Oh, okay. He's played 20, started 19 matches from 27, played a lot of minutes. He's still young. Alfie Devine, I honestly don't know what to do with him, to be honest. I don't know what to do with him. He's only 20.
I don't understand why we loaned him to Belgium. He was doing fine at Port Vale, which really confuses me.
Yeah, it really confused me. I think we were trying to get him up a league. I'd say maybe a low-level Bundesliga club. I'd like to push him out, but I think game time for him is more. The amount he plays is more important than the club he plays for. At his age and his position in the team, I think the more he plays, the better he's going to be. I don't think it's one of them we need to overthink too much. Send him to a club. Say if he's not injured, he needs to be paying a minimum of 85% of your games, and if he's not, we'll be recalling him, and you'll pay a fee for that. I think that's the best way to
go. I do like Alfie Devine, but I think if Leyton Orient do go up, or maybe even stay in League One, and obviously we take Donnelly back, I wouldn't mind sending Devine there because I think they play that sort of they play that sort of football that I feel like he would sort of revel under, the same as Donnelly has.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And on the topic of Leyton Orient, that moves us nicely on to Josh Keeley. He's played 36 matches, started 36, conceded 34, kept 16 clean sheets, and he is a large reason why Leyton Orient are in the playoffs.
Yeah,
if Leyton Orient go up, I would absolutely wholeheartedly loan him back to them. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
If they don't, unfortunately to them, I think he needs a championship move because I think he's at least championship level. Yeah. I think within the next 2 years, if he has 2 really good loan spells within the next 2 years, he'll be knocking on the door for whoever Tottenham's number 1 is.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he's put in really mature performances this year for me personally.
Yeah. I think I've watched a lot of Leyton Orient games this season, obviously just due to the fact that
we've got everyone on loan.
We've got 2 players on loan, and just the history of the fact that we've loaned so many players to Leyton Orient over the years. They've even got ex-players of ours like Dylan Markanday and stuff like that. He's playing really well there, like players like that. But yeah. I think they potentially could go up. I genuinely do see the way they play and stuff like who are the other teams in the playoffs? You've got Leyton Orient, Wickham, and 2 other teams.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Something like that. But I think if they do go up, 100% loan them back to Leyton Orient.
Yeah.
Maybe
It,
not. Maybe not Jamie Donnelly. Maybe loan into like a higher championship side, like Ipswich or something like that. But
If the one thing I would say is if Burnley sell James Trafford, which I think is a real opportunity because he's had come off the back of an absolutely world-beating season, maybe we could push him for a Premier League move. Maybe it's a little bit early. I don't know.
I don't. I think it is a bit early. I think. Don't get me wrong. He's played amazing for Leyton Orient. As you said, like he's probably the biggest reason for why they've got playoffs. I mean, he's kept 16 clean sheets
Yeah,
in his first
unbelievable. Yeah,
season
it's been
in the
unbelievable.
English league. Like I think if they don't go up, it is going to be quite unfortunate because I have really liked watching Leyton Orient this season. They've been like really fun team to watch. But I think we do go for a championship move for him next season if Leyton Orient they go up.
What do you think, Harry? Do you echo that?
Well, we like Ciaran said, our players had loads of success at Leyton Orient, so
Yeah.
just let him go another loan.
Well, so even if they don't come up, would you still keep him at League One level?
With keepers, it's a strange one.
It is a hard one because we've spoken about him quite a few times this year and he's progressed every time we've spoken about him. He's got better and better.
How old is he now?
20.
Yeah.
I think he'd do another year.
Another year, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he did a massive jump, I'm pretty sure. Wasn't he in National League? He
He went National League to League One and the jump was massive and he's been
That's
insane.
what I mean. And then I think since the FA Cup game where he scored, I think since then he's just been irreplaceable.
What I'm worried about is I'm worried about stagnating him if we don't give him a better move.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Like the best situation for all sides is Leyton Orient get promoted. He goes back there, familiar surroundings. We can see, and if he can maintain that same level in the Championship, then the year after is a Premier League loan.
The Championship,
yeah.
is like, I even like in some ways it's kind of harder than the Premier League because there's just such a mess of a league. Like anyone can end up anywhere really. I think whenever I see it, I have no idea how this team got to the playoffs. I have no idea how this team went down. Like obviously look at Luton because obviously they came from, for example, as an example. Like, so it's a really tough league. Like, so if they get promoted to it, leave them there. But at the same time, I think even if they don't, I think he might benefit one more year there.
Okay.
I think personally, but because it's just of his aging, because he's a keeper, I think it's a different scenario. If it was
you've got more time with keepers.
If it was a 20-year-old winger or something that was like killing it in
League One, then they need a championship step up. Yeah.
Give him a championship line but I think with keepers is a bit different. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Next on our list is Manor Solomon. 39 games, 10 goals, 12 assists. I'm not going to lie to you. Due to the political climate around him, I'm not going to be around the bush. Due to the political climate around him and his political views, he's not going to play for Tottenham again. I would go Leeds, 15 million, and buy a random for that.
He's 100%.
Yeah, he'll get sold. Don't get me wrong, credit to him. He's had a brilliant season, but listen, when you support the mass murder of multiple people, I'm sorry, you're never going to get on side. Not with a club like Tottenham, not where we have there's still a proportion of fans that actually agree with him, but for the most part, majority of people don't. And while you're echoing those opinions while you're in the middle of a season playing, you're never going to get a chance at Spurs.
I think it's not that he has those opinions. It's the fact he was like doing it publicly. I think that does,
because then it also represents the club, and the club try and stay. The club are very, very like people orientated when it comes to certain political issues. They try and be on the right side of things. And when one of your players is not, and he's the opposite of it, it's not a good look.
I compare it a lot to the situation. I know it's not football related, to the whole Rachel Ziegler thing with Snow White, because she was adding hashtags at the end of posts to do with like nothing to do with it. It's a long story. Basically, she was doing, because with these people, right? They shouldn't have political views when they post stuff about like the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
She's adding hashtags on the end of like movie. Anyway, this is why it's gone so badly.
Yeah.
Not because it's also a rubbish movie.
We're talking about just like the player as a player.
He's had a great season. I'm not going to knock that, but I'm not. For me, I don't want his favours again.
No, I don't think Teddy Riss.
He won't. He's gone. 100%.
Next is Ashley Phillips. I think he's had a great loan at Stoke. To be fair, Stoke fans seem to really like him. Played 35 games this season. He's only 19. I think we send him on loan to Stoke again. I think it makes sense.
I personally would not send him on loan to Stoke, just on the basis that I think,
Stoke shit.
That is definitely a reason. But I think from like the ratings and stuff I've seen, their squad isn't good enough to be in the
No.
championship, and I think it deflates his. I think it deflates his like performances in that centre back position. I've seen a lot of
But
people say he's a good player, but I've also seen the stats haven't been that good with him and with the squad. I just don't. I think if we were going to go for another championship move, I would go somewhere like mid-table because I don't think it's.
okay,
I don't think
okay.
it's right. He goes back to
I
Stoke.
tell you what club then that I'd like to loan him to. Mate of mine, Kyle supports them. I'd like to loan him to Derby because they've stabilised themselves this season. They've had a great run. Their defensive solidity is completely transformed. They'll be looking to change a lot of players in the summer so the same thing doesn't happen again. I think a loan to Derby would be good. Progressive. They'll look to comfortably be mid-table next year. They probably won't be talking about playoffs, but they won't want to be in a relegation conversation either. So I think maybe that's the sort of move to go to. Back to Leyton Orient with Jamie Donnelly, 39 matches, 8 goals, 10 assists, absolutely phenomenal loan. And I'll give credit to Leyton Orient, and as we have done on endless occasions this season, Leyton Orient, the way they treat our players and the way the fans treat our players has been absolutely phenomenal. That's what a loan should be. A loan should be about knowing that a player's a little bit better than your club or a little bit better than what you've got, but you bring him in to make the most of it, to support them, to give them the back and give them the confidence so they can grow. You can benefit from their growth. And I would, even if Leyton Orient don't come up next year, I would give him another year at Leyton Orient. For similar reasons to what Jack said about Keeley, I think the stability, the familiarity, I think they can really, really kick on next year. I think if Leyton Orient have a good summer and they keep both of those two, if they don't come up, I think you could be looking at automatics for them next year.
I think it's been really cool as well. Like for the past 5 years, like they were like in National League and their owner was absolutely terrible. Like he had absolutely fucked the club over. And now they're back up to League One and potentially going up to Championship players.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So fair play to Leyton.
What do you mean? Well, what do you think is going to happen? Say if Leyton Orient get promoted this year and then they get promoted again to the Premier League, because obviously we normally would loan players to them. So like,
it'll benefit us massively because we'll get players to Premier League experience. I think I just don't. I think they're a little bit away from that. If I'm honest, I think it's like a massive fluke. I'm not.
I don't think they'll go down. I don't think they'll. If they were to get promoted this year, I don't think they'd go down. I think they would be in the battle, but I think they'd just be above the relegation.
They'd just be above, yeah. But I wouldn't. If they go up, I've got no problem sending both players on loan to them again. And even if they don't, I've got no problem sending both players on loan again, as long as Leyton's Orient's ambition in the summer is to push at the top end of the table, because then you can start seeing. I mean, Jamie Donnelly's run of form in the build-up to the playoffs has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Mate, it's been crazy.
That game the other day was...
He was the one youngster that in Andrew's first season, at least he used him a bit. Not that much.
Used him a little bit, yeah. But his stats are just unbelievable.
I think he's kind of more built for like... I don't know. When I saw him play a few times for us, I thought he was more ready than the other ones.
I think so, yeah.
I would agree.
Next on the list, he only played 20 matches on loan before he was recalled. Dane Scarlett started 7 matches for Oxford United, scored 4 goals. Not going to lie, I don't want to ever send a player to Oxford again.
Well, me and you have a very fun thing with this Dane Scarlett loan, don't we, David?
Oh.
About me saying he's not good enough, and David, you saying that he was good enough, and then he had a little patch of scoring.
Game
after game, 4 games.
Yeah, he scored 4 games in a row and then stopped scoring again.
I don't know what to do with him. I really don't.
He needs a League One loan, not a Championship loan, I think, because he's 21. He'll be 22 next year. Mm-hmm. If he makes it in League One at 22, makes it in the Championship at 23, and he's like a top-level player in the Championship, then he can move into the Premier League. If not, he's probably going to be looking at a permanent let go. I would say I would loan him to a top-level League One club. So a club that's looking to absolutely go up. I think Luton will get rid of Carlton Morris. I think they'll get rid of Adebayo. I'd like to send him to somewhere like Luton, not just because I'd get a Luton shirt with him on the back, but because I think they'll be looking to come up, and I want to see what he can do in a team that's one of the better teams in the league they're in. You know, whatever. I think that's what he needs next year. And then if he can't do it in League One, then I think unfortunately we're going to slowly be looking at curtains. I'm not going to lie.
I do think if again, it goes back to Leighton Orient. I think if they don't go up, bearing in mind they're going to lose Charlie Kelman in the summer, I assume, because he's going to go back to QPR.
Yeah.
So I
Maybe we could send him. Yeah, but you can only have but you can only have 2 domestic loans to the same club.
Well, yeah, no, but is there really any like potential for Keeley and Donny to go there again? Like, when does that ever happen, really?
I think it will. Leighton,
it all does depend on how they do in the playoffs and stuff. But I could see Scarlett potentially being their replacement for Kelvin.
Yeah. Veliz played 23 matches in La Liga for Espanyol, scored 1 goal. He's 22 in September. Sell him.
I was going to say the same thing, but you took the words out.
I don't rate. Do you know what? It really
right,
pains me to it really pains me to text. I really like Veliz. I think in that game he played against Bournemouth, he showed a lot of heart, and I think at that time he was 20? He was 20 or something, or 19 or something at that time.
If he'd have kicked on from there, it could have done something, but he just didn't.
But I mean, bearing in mind the Sevilla loan didn't help at all. I think we can all agree with that. The Sevilla loan, they barely played.
Yeah, that was poor.
I mean, they gave him the number 9 and barely started him. And then where's he on loan now? Espanyol.
Yeah,
I think it's a Brian Hill situation. We just need to sell him.
He's barely been played. He just doesn't. And the only team he scored against is a hat trick against a third tiered La Liga side.
Yeah, in the cup. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's clearly not good enough. So yeah, so.
And on the topic of poor loans to La Liga, 25 matches, 3 goals, 3 assists for Brian Hill. Girona have absolutely fallen off a cliff this year. I mean, let me have a look.
I mean, again, it's another player.
Girona has 17th, and they're probably going to stay up by the skin of their teeth. I would sell him to a Europa League La Liga club. Real Betis, someone along those lines. I would send him to that level club. It's enough for him to play European football.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to Spain, everyone wins.
Obviously, because I watched Valencia games a lot, and he was on loan at Valencia, and they loved him. Like, the fans absolutely adored him when he was on loan there. I would like to see him back on loan at Valencia because he prospered there. He played so well there, and they loved him.
Yeah, and they got the West Brom manager as well. Their change of form has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, they were literally
it's like 11 games. It's like 11 games unbeaten now. Like, looking at a mid-table finish, it makes sense.
They literally could get European football potentially, and I would really like to see Brian Hill at Valencia.
Okay, fair enough. For me, it has to be a permanent though. There's no point in loans. It's not going to work.
Going back to Spain, 100%.
Yeah. Højbjerg is technically on loan. 27 matches, 2 goals, 3 assists. Was in team of the season for the French league. Sell him to Marseille permanently. Easy.
Is he going on a free? Am I wrong? Is he still got a year left?
No. He's there's an option to buy in it, so I would.
50, it's like 15 million.
Yeah, like 12, 15 million, something like that.
Not much
transfer.
to say.
That was a permanent. That was a free.
Brian Hill was wrong from the beginning because I remember reading after his first 6 months in England, he was really homesick or something. So.
Yeah. The whole move was just stupid from the off. To be honest, we all knew it.
I think 30 million plus Eric Lamela was not good.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? The deal to sell Eric Lamela turned out to be bad value for Tottenham. Who would have thought it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's our loan players. Obviously, we'll go over the bulk of the main squad once the season is finished, which is probably going to end up being finished on Thursday. You guys will know this, like I say, as you're watching it. But yeah, that's about it, really.
Well, you don't think we're going to go through?
No comment.
You know what?
If I speak, I will be in big trouble. I said we will lose 2-0 and then lose on pens.
I said extra time, so yeah.
Do you know what? I think I could end up eating my words here, but I don't think it will be as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I think we will lose.
My fear is
we will lose, but I don't think
metal for it.
You know, the best part about this is going out after the game's played. I'm not going to edit the TikTok clip until the Thursday night or first thing on the Friday morning. If we lose, I'm putting that out there.
I'm just
to the world.
You'll never see me.
I spoke to a lot of the Bodo fans before the game because I wanted to know stuff about their.
Not the dickheads that were singing "What do we think of Tottenham?" I hope.
No, it was just like.
Did you see that in? They were in Wembley or something at the Box Park, and they were singing "What do we think of Tottenham?" So, fuck off, mate. Who the fuck? We know who taught you that, dickheads.
But as in. No, well, I don't know. I spoke to them before the game, so I didn't speak to them after. So I don't know if they were singing this when it happened.
Yeah.
because obviously I watched a few Bodo games before, like against Lazio, and a few because they played Olympiacos as well. Because I'm Greek, so I went up watch a bit of that. Like I've seen them play, and the thing with them is they never give up. So when they scored the late goal, I was not surprised that they scored a goal and they were like inspired by it because I think if we played another 10 more minutes, they probably would have scored another one.
Yeah, I think so.
And for me, is because I asked them about like where their ground is and what it's like, and because obviously you hear stuff, it's a bit different speaking of someone, and they go, "Oh, it was snowing here today," as in Norway. When I spoke to them, it's really cold conditions. It's a very small plastic pitch compared to where we're playing, in the home leg.
A pitch made of Arsenal fans.
And also I watched the Lazio game, and they're a team even in the Lazio game.
Yeah, they just never give up. They just run relentlessly. They go relentlessly. It's crazy.
Second half, they went 1-0 up. Then they've got another one. I'm very worried they're going to be so determined to go through that.
I think the problem we'll have is they'll score one right at the beginning of the game, first 10, 15 minutes.
They'll mess us up.
They'll score one right before half time. We'll score one 60th minute. They'll get one.
Yeah.
They'll get another one.
Yeah.
And then
extra time,
and we'll lose on pens, I reckon.
I just think they have such a determination. Like even when we were beating them, they just didn't stop.
Yeah, their heads weren't down. There was no they did a huddle. I remember when they scored, they did a huddle straight afterwards. Like, listen, boys, they've scored one. Who gives a shit? Let's look the fuck in. And they stayed with that mentality all the way through the game. Even when we scored our second.
I think they were more shocked with the first one because we scored in the first minute, and then they looked shell shocked.
They saw Brennan Johnson and went, this guy scores goals? What? We can't even say that to be fair. He's been one of our better players this season, ironically.
Even when we scored the second one, I didn't think they were that phased.
No.
Because by that point, they'd already kind of got a foothold in the game.
I think if it had gone 4-0 instead of 3-1, I think that would have been the tie done, if I'm being real.
This is why I was cussing Ange as soon as they scored the goal, because I was just like...
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, the one thing I will say is it was very hard on the players. Like, it was a lucky deflection. It was, do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like we were wide open and we were shit and we hold hands. Like, it was pure luck.
But some of his subs were really suspect. Like, I don't know why he didn't bring on more defenders, for example, just to see out the 3-0 if he wanted to do that. Because I watched Bentancur, who was probably our man of the match, dictating to the players to keep the ball near the end of the game to keep the
one thing I will say, though, is it felt very much like Ange thought 3-0 was enough, and because they had shown no real signs of scoring at all.
What do you mean? They wasn't like at the end of the first half.
But I'm on about like the second half from the 60th minute to when they scored. They never looked like scoring. I think with Frankfurt it was different because Ange, like Ekatike,
they had a chance.
He always looked like he could score. So Ange put on a defender to try and nullify that. Bogan almost kind of beat us in the psychological game because for like the 25 minutes in the build-up to the goal, they didn't look like scoring at all, so that we don't go and make more defensive changes. We keep playing the same because it's working. They're not having chances. They're not breaking through the defence. If they do, they're offside or we're being fouled and it's free kick to us. You wouldn't make that change.
If you watch previous Bodo games, wouldn't you know that they're a team like that?
But what I'm saying, that they don't stop. But what I'm saying is you wouldn't. Like, on the course of the game, if you had me in a football manager game and I was 3-0 up and the team had no highlights at all, every time they attacked, in the 3 or 4 times they attacked, they were offside or there was a foul in the build-up or there was a foul on the defender, I wouldn't bring on another defender to close that game. Not at 3-0 up, maybe at 1-0 or 2-0, but not at 3-0. 3-0, you expect the players to be able to hold out for 10 minutes plus stoppage time. So for me, I feel like I don't put that on Ange. I don't think Ange did anything wrong. I don't particularly think the players did anything wrong. I think that is just one of those moments where you take your shot and you score, you don't shoot, you'll never know. I think it literally is but only Tottenham will experience that absolute level of domination and then someone have one shot out of the blue and it'll fly in. And you sit there and think, for fuck's sake.
I blame myself because I kept saying they were going to score even though we were dominating the game because we kept missing chances.
So, Ciaran, did you see my TikTok where on the way to work in the morning I said 3-1 and I was really bubbly about it, whatever. And then there's just a stitch of me with my head in my hands going, well, I got the score prediction right, but I'm miserable as fuck now. But yeah, we'll see what.
I think it's really nice. I think I'm really unlucky with that goal.
Yeah,
big time. I think we were 3-0 up. thought we had a proper hold on that game, and it's just unlucky to score it there like the last thing. It gives
Yeah.
them hope, gives them a little bit of hope.
Yeah, oh well, here's what it is. And we're going to finish by... So I did a TikTok live stream on Thursday after the game while I was editing the podcast for Friday because I left it to the last minute. And Ciaran jumped in and I was talking about some random shit. And then at 1 minute I started talking about Good Will Hunting, which you guys know from mine and Harry's Letterboxd reviews last week, that it was the first time... Well, I think it pissed somebody off that we did that and spent the whole time talking about Spurs because someone unsubscribed. I will find you. And
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, and Ciaran said he's going to watch it for the first time. He has watched it. He hasn't wrote a Letterboxd review yet. So, Ciaran, Good Will Hunting. Me and Harry have both seen it. What's your view? What's your take?
Right, before I say my rating out of 5, I must say I usually don't like universally loved films. So,
Right.
so obviously everyone loves these universal loved films like Forrest Gump. What's the other film with him on the island? That one. I don't like those sort of films. Right?
On the island.
But it was actually really good. I wouldn't give it a 5. I would not give it a 5, but I would probably give it like a 3.5, maybe a 4.
What? That's harsh.
Haters gonna hate. Yeah, I think it's a
I
bit
like
harsh.
4.5 because that's probably what I would have given it.
Like,
It's not my
I think for
favorite,
something to be
but
5,
it's still like an amazing movie. Like
no, it's a good movie. But for something to be 5 for me, it has to be like a genre that I genuinely love. I'm not a massive genre person.
So, what's your 5-star? What's a 5-star movie for you as an example? I'm curious.
It's got to be like some form of Marvel movie, probably.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Harry, if you need to download Letterboxd,
Yeah.
and actually we'll follow you on it. We'll have a Letterboxd group chat and we'll just put film reviews in there.
Yes.
Do you know what they should? Do you know what? I need to make an app like Letterboxd, but for Tottenham games. So after we've played, you can review the game, and then we can review stupid. Listen, we're gonna find some way for next season. I'm gonna find a way. We're gonna do it through like a blog style website or a link on the group chat or a link in the podcast or on the TikTok or whatever, where people can go in, write a review about the game that we've just watched and submit it, cool. And then we can read them out on the podcast. Yeah. By the way, this is copyright confirmed. If you're watching this, you can't steal that idea. No one watches this late into the episodes anyway. So
I watched Nightcrawler last night. Have you heard? Is Jake Gyllenhaal?
Say that again.
I watched Nightcrawler last night. It's called Nightcrawler. It's 2013. It's a really strange movie. Like, it's good, but I kind of felt a bit mellow about it at the end. Like, it's a very strange movie. It's this guy trying to like film things and sell the film to like news and stations and stuff like that. Anyway,
that's crazy.
But I don't.
Is that the one with the big spider?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought it might be the one with the big spider.
That's probably like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter.
No, there's like a movie.
This is the longest podcast we've had in ages.
Anyway, so like it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's like I'd probably rate it 3.5 maybe, but it's very strange. Like there's some things I didn't morally agree with, basically, with the movie. But I guess it's the movie, so maybe some things they
meant for like on purpose,
meant for just for movies. I'm planning to watch Life Itself tonight because it's the Live with Wilds Oscar Isaac movie.
Have you guys ever watched the film with Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried where it's called?
I know which one it's about.
Have you ever watched it? I watched it a couple of weeks ago. It was for me it was so weird. I just don't like the dystopian. It fucks in my head too much. I'll tell you what I've started watching recently. It's not a movie, but it's a series, and then we'll finish the podcast. I started watching The Good Doctor.
I've heard about it.
And honestly, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely hooked so far. I've just finished an episode. Spoiler alert if you've never seen it. I'm on like season 3 now or season 4 now. Yes, in a week. I know that's sad. Fuck off, people. I was on closes last week, so I could stay awake till like 1, 2 in the morning after the gym watching it. But I'm back on mornings next week, so I'll probably watch one when I get back from work. But it was the one of the doctors had cancer and had to have surgery and whatever, and then he went back to find his childhood crush who he wrote really horrible things about in a yearbook because he felt guilty and wanted to apologise like 45 years later. So anyway, it's never too late, guys.
That's a really interesting
Yeah. But it's been really good fun. I'm really enjoying it. But what I found out, right, Amazon, if you're watching this, fuck you, you're absolute wankers. So I found out, sorry, Theo, if you're watching this, I found out
so
that Amazon have got the first 5 seasons free on Prime, and the last 2 you have to pay for.
What?
So I got a 3 month of Prime to get hooked on a series that I now can't finish on Prime. So I'm going to have to cancel Prime in a month in like 2 weeks when it expires, then pay a month for Apple TV just to finish it to then cancel it again.
Oh, you got Amazon Prime? I think you can watch Cruel Intentions on that. So please watch Cruel Intentions.
Well, when you download Letterboxd and you add us, then we'll start sharing.
Yeah, we'll do a group chat.
Hold on, have we got a group chat with the 3 of us in?
No, we've got me and Ben, but not me and Harry.
Well, not on WhatsApp.
We'll make a little group chat. We'll call it Letterboxd reviews. We'll put a Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah. We'll just put random Letterboxd reviews in there. I need to download that. Well, I'll have a chat with I might have a chat with Jordan and Matt and see if they want to go to group chat just purely talking about movie reviews, and then I'll make
a one join to about Tottenham too.
No, we won't do. We'll keep that group chat, like specifically movie reviews. But that would be sick. But I'm definitely going to find a way to do like a Tottenham reviews thing for next year. I reckon that'd be so sick.
I think I'll be hilarious. Can you imagine what reviews I'd write if we lose the game?
Mate, fucking Thomas Frank is a fucking Danish wanker. Anyway.
I told you he was boring.
I told you he was boring. What are we, fucking Brentford? Or what it'll be
Glasner, why is he playing for it at the back?
Why is he playing 3 at the back? Fuck off back to the Bundesliga. And if it's Marco Silva, it'll be take your fucking Nando's and fuck off back to Portugal. Anyway, listen, I reckon that'd be good fun.
That, review the game.
No, that'd be bad. Imagine they played the reviews on the screen before the start of the game. Previously, last time on Tottenham versus West Ham, Graham Potter's a fucking wizard, managing to get West Ham to score a goal. Last time on Tottenham versus Arsenal. Well, that was fucking shit.
I don't understand. We should do that. I'm sure it motivates the players. But we are playing a bit shit.
But then some people believe that the players read and watch these things. So I
think they do to some extent, but they don't.
I know Andy watches podcasts because some of the stuff
he said he references him. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I'm just like, yeah, you clearly watch something I've been on, like some of the stuff you come out with. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching so much. That's the last time we're going to talk about league games now to the end of this, till that's it really, because we're going to finish 16 or 17, so there's no point talking about it again. So that's the last we're going to talk about league games. Next week, from when you're watching this, we're going to talk about the result of Europe. It'll either be a preview of the final and me maybe drinking on the podcast, or it will be me in tears and me definitely drinking on the podcast. And then if not, then we'll maybe do a separate final episode, a specific final episode. Then once the final's played, it'll be the reactions to the final. And then after that, it'll be squad analysis, keep, loan or sell, updated version. And then after that, I've had a request from quite a few different non-Spurs fans to come on, do some football quizzes, do some just general stuff. Jack's requested to come on after the Europa League to take the piss out of us when we got knocked out. So we'll do over the course of the summer. We'll try and get some non-Spurs fans on, do some Guess Who stuff, do some fun stuff, and then hopefully we can get those fans back on during the course of the season when we play those teams. I think that'll be really good because we said we were going to do more of that this season and we just haven't had the time. Part of it, my fault. At the start of the year for me was really, really stressful. And it's only recently since my job changed that I've been a lot more relaxed and a lot more flexible, going to the gym. Ciaran commented my arms. Look at that. Look at these guys. Look at that.
Mate, you look stronger than Archie Gray.
The sharp. At least he wouldn't be puffing and panting after 2 minutes. Don't diss Archie Gray, man. Listen, I'm not going to go into a rant, but Andrew's disrespecting this season. Listen, Ange, I'm coming for you. Anyway, the sky will be grey when Ange gets back to the end of the season. And on that note, sorry, mutual termination. And on that, that's like when you go into a game of paintball and you both the last people and you go, let's shoot together, mutual termination. Can Ange and Levy mutually terminate each other? That'd be great.
Fight to the death.
Exactly.
Of Italy, yeah.
Ding, 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 round 1. Levy's bold. Sorry?
I think Lee would get back.
Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, drop us a 5-star review on Spotify. That'd be much appreciated. I know towards the end of the season, episodes have kind of people have like fallen off watching them, and I know a lot more of that will come towards the end of the season. But we do still appreciate the support, do still appreciate the love. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and we'll catch you in the next one. Come on, you Spurs!
All you Spurs.
Go on, Spurs.